right, folks, I'm going to show you how to download precipitation and air temperature data and how to bring that into MATLAB, which is something you're going to be doing as part of your first project. So we're going to do this together for this first assignment. And then the goal is that you'll expand this for other sites. You're going to first navigate to the NOAA website that I give you on that assignment. You're going to select daily summaries, and then it's going to give you a date range. And for now, let's grab 1970, January 1st, 1970 to December 31st of 2022. And we're going to say apply. We want to search for stations. That's correct, but you can see other options here. And we got to enter a search term. And you can see I tried Pennsylvania before. Oftentimes we want this to be cities. So we're going to say Allentown, because I know there's an airport in Allentown, Pennsylvania that has long records. So I'm going to click search. And it is going to search. It's just going to take its sweet time. And someday it will work. And after some time, it's going to pop up with a page where you will see stations listed over here on the left-hand side and the locations of those stations on the right-hand side. What I want to draw your attention to is for each one of these stations, we have a name. We can view full details. Let's click on that. It tells us the location of the station, the elevation it's at, the starting and ending date of the period of record, and then also some information about data coverage, how complete the data is over that period of record. Let's go back. What you'll notice is that that first station identified only has about 4 years of data. Probably not great for us if we're thinking about climate change and long-term values. This other station here has, again, about, 6 years of data, not so helpful. But here we have the Lehigh Valley International Airport. We are going to click Add to Cart. That is the station that we want. You can go now to View All Items, and this is where we tell the service what information, what data we want. So we don't want a PDF because we're not going to be able to import that. We either want a CSV or a text file. I'm going to go with CSV. And I'm going to scroll down and click continue. I'll include the station name. Let's include data flags just because of funsies. And we'll stick with standard data units for now instead of metric. We might convert to metric later. And this is all of the data that we can have. This is all the data we can add. I'm going to say we want precipitation data, and let's get it all. Let's just see if there's anything there. Probably not much. And I'm going to say we want air temperature. I'm going to say continue. And it's going to give me a summary here. It's going to say I want a CSV. I want all this information on precipitation and temperature. I want it for the years 1970 to 2022. And now I'm going to enter my email address. And you should enter your email address. And I'm entering mine, and I'm going to say submit order. And it's going to say, okay, your request was submitted. Wait while we send it to you. So usually this happens pretty quickly. And if I go to my email, it's already there. It is already there. And so it is, oh, no, that's wrong. It's just telling me that the order is submitted. So now we wait for the second email saying that the order has completed. And if you stay on this page, you can check the status, and it can say, it's going to tell you it's processing. But I'm going to pause this and wait for that data to appear. And literally 1 second after I pause this, the data appeared. So you will get this climate data online request complete email. And you're going to see right here that you can download that file. So I'm going to click on that. And I am going to move to MATLAB now. All right, folks, so we've just downloaded that file. It should go to your download folder. The next question is, how do we get it into MATLAB? So what you're going to do is open up File Explorer, go to Downloads, and I'm on a Mac, so yours is going to look a little different. And it will actually have a name that's a number. Actually, I'm going to re-download this just so you see the whole thing. I'm going to go back here, click Download, and I get this file that has a weird number on it. Never leave your files with weird numbers. It is easy to forget what they are. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to rename it to allentown.csv. I'm going to copy that, Control-C, go to my desktop or wherever I have my CE352 folder, make a new folder for homework 2, and paste that file in there, allentown.csv. Now, whenever you get a new folder, or excuse me, whenever you get a new file, the first thing you want to do is look at it. So I right-click on this and I'm going to say open with Microsoft Excel. It's a CSV file, so it should be able to be open in Excel. And what we have here is a couple of different columns. We've got a station number. We've got the name of that station, the date right here, precipitation, probably in inches, snow, something about snow in inches, and something about snow D, which I'm guessing is snow depth. We also have maximum and minimum temperatures. We have average reported, but it's empty, right? Except for some very specific periods of time. So because this is a CSV file, it's always going to give you this little warning about data loss. Don't worry about that. You can ignore it. And you can always say, don't save once you close it. I want to bring this into MATLAB first thing. So I'm going to go to MATLAB. I'm going to navigate to the little file folder with an arrow. And I'm going to find the folder where I saved that file. CE352 is probably somewhere. And I'm going to say open. If I did that right, I should see the file over here on the left, allentown.csv. All right, think about it for a second. How are you going to import that data? As you look at the screen, you should see this big button that says import data. Let's click it. Select the file, say open. And we get all the same information that we just saw. Just to remind you, this top row is telling you the names that it's going to assign to columns, and it's giving you a preview of what is in that file. Output type, the Professor Kelleher approach, is to make it column vectors. And what you're going to see as that happens is that the type of data contained will now match the type of data in there. So we've got a date time here for our dates. We've got numbers for precipitation, numbers for snow, snow depth, maximum and minimum temperature. And we're not so worried about the attribute ones that have some weird information in there, but let's save them for now. We're not so interested in them at this very moment. So I'm going to click import selection, and it may take some time. I'm going to close this, and I've got all my data here. And the first thing I'm going to do, so I can work with it in a script, is type save allentown.mat. Okay. So I want to gather some initial data about this time series. I'm going to start a new script. I'm going to move it over here. And I'm just going to tell it to clear everything. I'm going to say clear all, and MATLAB usually gives me a little error and says, you don't really need to do this, but I like doing it, whatever. I'm going to save this. So Control S, and I'm going to call this homework 2. And I'm going to tell it to load that same file, allentown.mat. When I run this, what happens is I just get the same data that I already had before. So I don't know, maybe it's not wrong. I don't need to do my clear all, but it's what I was taught. So I want to create a graph of date by precipitation. So I'm going to add the command figure, which just says open a new figure. I'm going to tell it to plot date against precip. And I'm going to tell it to plot that with a black line. Let's take a look. Whoa, really crazy looking. We will talk about how to make this more interpretable soon, but for now the goal is to just gather this data and look at it. I want to add some information to this figure. I don't remember how to label my x-axis, so I'm going to guess. I'm going to say x label. Turns out I was right. X label is going to be date, and Y label is going to be precip and inches. And let's just check and see if that works. And look at that. I got a nice labeled figure. Now, those values all look pretty small, so let's increase them. I can say font size, make it 16, and I can copy and paste that same thing here. And we just increased the font sizes of those labels. And that is a crazy amount of precipitation, allegedly on October 8th, 2005, 8.71 inches, pretty insane. All right, what if I want to make a plot that just shows 1 year of data? I'm going to copy and paste all this same stuff, but I want to just focus on the 2022 year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through here, and I'm going to find on what day 22 began, January 1st, and that is value number 18994. I'm just typing it there so I remember it, copy and paste it. I want to print 18994 to the last value, which I can read here as 19358. Let's do that. Paste that same thing for precip. So now we're telling it grab those dates and grab those precipitation values. And let's run the whole thing. And now you should get 2 different plots. You have your full time series for all the years, and you have your time series for just 1 year. And maybe I don't like a plot. Maybe I want a bar. I can just type bar there instead of plot. Tell it to evaluate that. And now I get a bar instead of a line graph. I have to reevaluate those 2 lines. And I do that just by selecting the line, right-clicking, and saying evaluate selection. That's one way to run just a single line. So I have a plot of 2022, and I'm going to ask you to make a time series plot of a shorter period of time, just for us to do this. The last thing I want you to do is I want you to grab the entire average. We're going to call this P average. And I want you to grab the standard deviation of all values across all days. So the way that I can calculate the average is by grabbing the mean. So I just want the mean of precip. And again, I want the standard deviation. So if I type in STDEV, usually it auto-completes, it didn't that time. And let's see. Let's run the whole thing. And if this works, oh, it didn't like that. Didn't like STDEV. What if I forget what the term is to be used? I can click here on a new tab and I can say MATLAB standard deviation. And it's going to pop up, usually at the very top, with an idea for what that term should be. So it turns out standard deviation is just STD. And the whole idea here is you don't need to memorize MATLAB commands. You will work from examples that I give you. You will use the interwebs. Let's run it again. P average. Daily precipitation average is 0.12 inches. Daily standard deviation is 0.35. Does this mean anything? Maybe if it's a normally distributed distribution, probably isn't, but let's check it out. We're gonna make a third figure, and we are going to make a histogram. And the command for that is hist. And here it's popping up with some helpful hints. It's telling us we gotta choose an input array, a vector or a matrix, which for us is gonna be precip. and we got to choose a number of bins. So let's say precip, and let's just trust MATLAB to find that number of bins right now, and let's run it. And when we do that, we get this, which is a little hard to interpret. It looks like it sort of did things in inches. I don't like that. So I'm going to increase the number of bins. I'm going to say precip, 20, and I'm going to highlight and just plot that figure. Look at that. Look at that distribution. That distribution is not normally distributed, and it is telling you that a certain value is most common across the entire data set. And that value is right around 0. Right around 0 is pretty common. Let's say you wanted to actually set the bin edges. Let's increase them by 0.5 inches, and let's go all the way to 9 inches. I'm going to highlight and run that again. And there we go. Now we can really see that 0 is the most likely daily value of precipitation. We have a nice looking figure here. So the other thing I ask you to do is to change the edges of the bins in some way, or the number of bins you use, and add another plot, and to add a Y label and an X label to this graph. That is your daily instructional video on MATLAB.